Welcome to part 2 of Competency 16 quiz. In this video, we will continue to communicate and connect mathematics. Number 6, what is the value of $7,500 invested for 42 months at 16.4% if the interest is compounded monthly? Okay, well, this is straightforward. Just use your formula that you find on your formula sheet. First, our initial value is $7,500. Open your parentheses. 1 plus, now you have your fraction. Remember, that is rate over n. Okay, our rate is 16.4, and I want that to be a percent. So I'm going to say second, open parentheses. Okay, so that is now percentage rate. Now, we need n, number of times compounded. If it's going to be monthly, that will be 12. Be compounded 12 times within the year. Now close your parentheses and carry it up. And now that is n times t. Well, we know n is 12. I'm going to push multiply. But what is t? Well, our time is in months. We need to translate that to years. How do we do that? Set a fraction, and that is 42 out of the 12. Now, of course, you're going to see where you could simplify that. And you could cancel the 12s, type in 42, turn it to years, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. But for me, I'm just going to put it in the calculator. It's just a lot easier to just put in what you know goes into the formula. Now, we push enter and we can round, and that will give us, it would help if I actually had the pen. There you go. Option D. Now let's look at number 7. $4,000 is placed in an account earning 6% interest if the account is compounded semi-annually. Now that is going to be n equals 2. Semi-annually, approximately how long will it take the account to double in value starting from the $4,000? Okay, so we've done others like this in prior videos. So let's use our calculator to make things a little easier. Well, if it's doubled, then we know we're going to want $8,000 in the end. Right now we have $4,000 and we are compounding. So we can use our formula that's on our formula sheet. So that's 1 plus 6% over the 2. And then that will be, 2t. Okay, because they're asking us how long is this going to take. Now, you can work all this out by hand, but if you've seen the other videos with me, this is what I did. There's 2 ways to do this. We can enter the right side in the calculator and then look for when it equals 8,000, or let's make it a little easier and divide both sides by the 4,000. That means we have 2 equals 1 plus 6% over the 2. Of course, I could say half of that is 3%, but I'm not going to do that. And then put in the options we have. And remember, as an ask, okay? Remember, your t is going to equal your x for calculator purposes. So let me show you what I mean. This is what we're going to do. We're going to use the table, clear everything out. But you are putting in what you have as far as the expression on the right side. Okay, so in parentheses, 1 plus, set your fraction up, 6, make it a percent, then go down with your 2 and divide by 2. Go over, close your parentheses, carry it up, and that's where we have our 2x. Now, push enter. It's set up exactly the way we want it. We want to ask x. Okay, and what are we asking? Each of the options. Okay, so let's test that out. First, we don't have a 10, so that's from an old problem. Delete that. Let's try option A, 10.8 8 years. Enter. That's not near 2. Okay, so that's not acceptable. Let's try 11. It's closer to 2, but not quite. So let's see, in that case, if 11.72 is closer. Enter. Ooh, that is shockingly close. But let's go. Remember, we only have 3 windows on this, 3 lines on our window, 3 rows. So let's delete out the first one. Okay, you could just type over that, but I like to delete it so you see it clean. And let's push 12 in there. Okay, that's way over the 2. So the only option that works is going to be option C. Okay. A was too small because 11 was greater, as you can still see in the calculator. And then we put in C, it is extremely close. But when we put in 12, that was way over. That's in our first line. So that's way over, and we can't the uh go over 2 because that would be over 12 years would be too long. Okay, that would be more than doubling. Okay, all right, so that verifies option C. We can look at number 8 now. Okay, using the diagram to the right, which polynomial represents the factoring shown in the diagram? Well, that's not tough. First off, how many items? I know that they have this notation on the sides of it. I don't like to look at that. Like to look at what is actually in the factored in the blocks. How many x squares do I have? 1, 2, 3. That's the blue. So I have 3 of those. So that automatically gets rid of A and D. Now, the green, those are just x's on their own. How many of those do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you see 10 of them quickly. You could say that 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. Either way, and that gets rid of option B. Now, just to verify, how many singletons do you have? I have 1, 2, 3, and they're positive because they're yellow. And there you go. If they were negative, they would have been red. So option C is what we needed. Okay, let's go to number 9. Number 9, what is the circumference of circle C in the diagram below? Okay, well, that's the outer part. And all we need diameter times pi. Well, everything in our ABCD options are in terms of pi. So all we need to do is figure out what the diameter is. Well, if we add this 1, the distance of 1, to the radius of 3, that gives us r equals 4, and 2 times that is 8. So this gives you option D. Now, this may seem a little simplistic, but every now and again, you will come into this type of a question. Okay, you'd be amazed that people get confused at first, but that is all they're asking. Okay, now let's look at number 10. What is the approximate area of the basketball court shown below? Okay, I can already see some properties going on here. First, we have a diagonal, and that's a hypotenuse of a right triangle, which tells me we have a 3, 4, 5 right triangle. Okay, now I jumped to that pretty quick, but how are we going to get, we'll come back to that. How are we going to get the area of this shape, this figure? Well, we need the area of the rectangle plus the area of that circle, and that's going to get us what we need. So let me come over and put it in the calculator. So in parentheses, I'm going to do the area of the rectangle. Well, that's 4 times 3. 4 times 3. Close that parentheses and add. Now, what would the area of the circle be? Now, hang on a second. You're going to say, wait a minute. I don't see a circle. I see 2 half circles. Well, just put them together. That's all you got to do. just they're a whole circle. So make your life easier. Don't calculate them separately. We have a radius. If we, put your hand over, you have two halves, put them together, put your hand over the center of that figure. You'll see a whole circle. So what do we need? We need pi r squared, radius squared. So pi, and our radius is 1.5. Square that, press enter, and there you go. With some rounding, we need option B. Now, before I end on that, you may not have watched other videos with me, okay? And you would have said, "How do you get that for?" You popped right to it. But remember, that triangle would be it would clued me in that we had the smallest primitive right triangle. Notice that's a right triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and prove that to you. Second radical, I need 5 squared minus the 3 squared. Press enter. There you go. That's my missing leg. Uh, if you're not sure about that, just look it up. Look up information about those very popular primitive right triangles to help you out in future testing. Okay. All right, this is the last question in this video. I wanted to thank everyone again for watching to the end of the video and liking and subscribing and sharing our videos. You guys are the best. And happy testing, everyone.